Thank you. Utilitarianism. Okay. If you look at utilitarianism as a school of thought, it's a very, very peculiarly English system or British system of thought. That's what it is. Very, very peculiarly. This isn't something that has been adopted. You don't find the equivalent of such a system anywhere. And another thing that you'll find is that it has been soundly rejected by almost everybody. The story doesn't end there. In fact, the story doesn't end because utilitarianism is something that continues to flourish even today. It continues to flourish even today. Utilitarian laws are a part of many constitutions across the world because of the fact that the British basically ruled most of the world, and because they have ruled most of the world, they have taken with them their own system of law, not just system of law. You also have them taking with them their specific laws as well. Now, we like to think that we've authored our constitution. We like to think that we have a very good constitution. Maybe it is not entirely untrue that we do have a constitution that is not too bad. But if it is all those things, the credit goes to the British, because So many of our laws, not just the Constitution, so many specific laws that are there in the country, all these laws have basically been, what should I say? All these laws have been basically put in place by the British. For example, I can't remember which section it was of the Constitution. This was something that was uh, a bone of contention between the conservatives in our country and the, what do you call them? The progressive elements. And this pertained to the law on homosexuality and
Section 377, sir.
is it 377?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So homosexuality and sodomy, according to this particular law or this particular section, are criminal. And this particular case came up first before the High Court of Allahabad. I think now it's called Prayagraj. So if you go by that, then what we actually see is that it is a British law based in Christian morality, or if you like, the morality of all the Abrahamic religions, all Abrahamic religions. Now, if you, I don't know how many of you have been to Khajuraho. If you go to Khajuraho, the one thing that will be very clear to you is that in Indian culture, neither homosexuality nor sodomy is a crime, because the carvings on the Khajuraho temples, they show you ample number of carvings that have people indulging in sodomy and in homosexuality. So it's not a crime as per our law. Sorry, as per our culture, the Indian culture. And you must understand, I have mentioned this for a specific reason. And the specific reason is because after when the case went to the Allahabad court, it basically cited this Khajuraho and paintings and all those. And it said that this is a law that has no place in our culture. Even if you go back into the good old days, and it has no culture, no place in the future if you take the spirit of the times in the present and the future. If you take the spirit of times into consideration, because if you take them into consideration, what we get to see is that this is now a phenomenon which is, though still in the closet, quite a few people have come out of the closet and are now openly saying they are any of these various things, LGBTQIA, and plus I guess some more will get added to this. So since people are claiming these things, it's said if you go according to the spirit of the times, then we should include this. Not as a, I mean, we shouldn't treat this as a law which is to be implemented. It should not be implemented. The court suggested that it should be retired. The law should be retired. That's what they said. Then it came to the High Court. And at that time you had great Mr. Gogoi and co. And what these people did, in effect, is that they basically interpreted the wording of that particular law, and they said it is very clear that as far as the wording is concerned, that this is not permissible. So homosexuality and sodomy will have to be treated as criminal. So it criminalized it again. So when people went to a bench, they said it is no longer a part of the jurisdiction of the courts. This is something that has to be taken care of by the government as a matter of public policy, and this is not a matter that is any longer in the hands of uh, the public policy. So you see this particular case happened, and I'm mentioning this to you because I'll come back to this case when I'm winding up with Jeremy Bentham. Okay, and now if if you basically look at uh, if you basically look at what Jeremy Bentham is saying, you should first understand why he is saying what he's saying. Bentham and sundry utilitarians but there is a lot more to, it's not just the felicity principle that utilitarianism is tied to. It is also something, it has other dimensions to it. One of the dimensions that we study in brief is, what have I done? Ruled utilitarianism. and the other. My talking about just these two things, while it is not reductionist, I am not going to talk about too many things that are associated with utilitarianism and its philosophy. Okay. One should also talk about rule utilitarianism and act utilitarianism apart from the felicity principle. Now, please, before we proceed further with the explication of what all these things are, what they stand for, let me draw your attention to the fact of the question that we need to ask ourselves is, why did this came up aftermath of Humean skepticism. So that is the context in which utilitarianism came up. So if you're talking about the aftermath of Humean skepticism, what exactly are we talking about? What exactly did Hume say? And why did he say what he said? If you look at Hume, Hume questioned about their inclusion, both classical liberalism and social contract theories. He questioned their inclusion of natural rights. So, what is it that Hume questioned about natural rights? His main target is Locke, okay? Not so much Hobbes, even though Hobbes is a contractualist and talked about natural rights. His solution to all problems was giving up of those natural rights. So for him, Hobbes was not a problem. The problem was Locke. Please recall what we did in John Locke. You will see that Locke includes natural rights in the state of nature. Two stages he has, and it is in that state of nature, through the operationalizing of natural rights, that he provides us with a justification for, one, private property, two, for inequalities in society. Both these are done by Locke in the state of nature and according to the rights bestowed on man by nature. So Hume is questioning that. Hume is questioning that, and he's saying, is asking, who this is his first question. How do we know that nature has given us rights, any rights at all? And that includes the right to private property, it should be. including the right to private property. Who told us that nature has given this? Or if nature has told us that it has given all these rights, how did it tell us? And not only did he raise this question, this is a question that he raised, but he went further ahead and said, and asked, what are the terms on which these rights are operationalized? What are the terms on which these rights are operationalized? Because no rights are simply operationalized. You lay down some terms which are conditions. If you like, call them conditions. There are some conditions, and when these conditions are laid down, then you will say these rights can be operationalized. So to give you a very bad example, but it is nevertheless, I think, an example that serves the purpose that I want it to serve. Let's ask ourselves this question: who made the laws in our country? Who gave us these different rights? So you'll say it's the Constitution. The Constitution has given us these rights. Now, the question that is a corollary to that is, are rights given to us under every circumstance, or are there circumstances or conditions that have to be met with in order to have these rights operationalized? First and foremost, our Constitution says for our for our fundamental rights to be operationalized, we require a situation of peace and tranquility. May not be total peace, everybody is happy. No, not that kind of a thing, but general peace and tranquility. And if the unrest becomes too much, then the Constitution has also given mechanisms through which you can suspend these rights. That is a problem, right? It lays down that condition that for these rights to exist, there has to be a proper society. There has to be, what happens when you are, say, imposing a curfew? That is a suspension of your rights. Even though we think suspension of rights basically is a very big thing, like it happened in emergency, it doesn't have to be that big. Just the imposition of a curfew is a suspension of your right. Similarly, you can also look at other things where you'll see rights can be suspended. The thing that you can see when you say rights can be suspended is when we've gone through the pandemic, okay, when public utilities to which you have a right have stopped working, buses didn't work, metro trains didn't work, when neither of them, when not any of them, sorry, didn't work, that is a suspension of rights. Similarly, closing down of educational institutions for some time was the suspension of the right to education. So we don't realize it, but there are some very, very small acts of the government which actually tantamount to suspension of the rights. Okay, so you don't have all, like for example, you can't report from Jammu and Kashmir about what exactly is happening there. You can't report. Now that is a suspension of the right to expression. You can't report that. Now you have a right to information. It is a suspension of that also if you are not getting information. And if fudged data was being provided by governments like the government of Telangana, sorry, that basically means that your right to accurate information is also violated, not suspended. It's violated. Providing wrong figures is a violation of that particular, what should I say, of that particular right. When 40, 50 people are dying, and if 3 people are being shown as dead, that is a violation of the right. So there is a, what should I say? There is a, uh, there are rather conditions that have to be met uh, before laws and rights can be operationalized. Now, Hume's problem is, with Locke specifically, is you are premising your entire legal system in this natural rights. You're you're building your entire legal framework from these rights that you have identified. You have not taken recourse to the full laws of nature that are there in duplicating them in society, which is what Hobbes does. Hobbes says that all the laws that I have created are not repugnant to the laws of nature. So that's an adoption of the entire laws of nature. Here, you have selectively taken some. You have not even taken the laws. You have taken what are called rights first. First, you make a constitution and then you talk rights. But what are we seeing here? We are seeing talking of rights first and then making of laws. The reverse of what should be done. So that is the problem that Hume has with Locke. And that is what he's questioning. What are the terms on which these rights are operationalized? What are the conditions in which these rights are operationalized? So what you see there is a questioning of the very basis of classical liberalism, of the Lockean variety, He's questioning the very, very basis of the tenets of Lockean, what should I say, Lockean liberalism. Now, Hume So legalities, his form of legalities, there aren't sufficient conditions cited by Locke to ground them and to make them acceptable. So it is in this aftermath of um, when Locke is being criticized by Hume for there not being, when Locke is being criticized by Hume for there not being adequate, what should I say, uh, grounds and sensible enough grounds uh, to critique, to basically critique utilitarianism, uh, to critique Lockean liberalism, saying that it is not based in anything. Hume's criticism amounts to saying that Locke's entire system is built in thin air. That's what it tantamounts to. If you want to sum up what Hume's critique of Locke is, then that is what it is. So it is this that is most important for us to remember. Okay, the inability of classical liberalism to answer, it doesn't have to be Locke, because Hume comes after Locke, but there were quite a few classical liberals around. None of them could give an answer. None of them could give an answer to the critique of Hume. None of them could answer that. And so there was a complete paradigm shift. So you find that Bentham and other utilitarians such as James Mill tried to create a system of legality that is properly grounded in something that is tangible in the sense that it can be felt and understood. Something that can be felt and understood by everyone. Mm. Dane Pumpy? Pumpy. Mm. So, uh, you have this uh, hmm, okay, okay. I'm teaching. If you remember Hobbes, I told you have to remember these things. Hobbes said, which I told you is wrongly called psychology. Hobbes said that human behavior is something that stems out of two important what am I doing? Right? Appetite and aversion. I hope you remember them. Appetite is that which draws you to it, you like it. And the other one is aversion. Aversion is that which you do not like. So you go towards that which you like and you go away from that which you don't like. He called them appetite and aversion. Now, Bentham And this is fundamentality of human nature, because all human beings are guided by this, is what Hobbes felt. People move away from what they don't like and they move towards things that they like. That's what Hobbes said, right? So that is a fundamentality of human nature, which means it doesn't change with person to person in different circumstances, in different places, at different times. None of those things matter. It is fundamental. Any human being, anywhere, at any time in history, in any geographical location, is driven by these two drives. Okay? Is driven by these two drives. This is the fundamentality, which is called psychology. It's not psychology, please. Don't call it psychology. They use that same word psychology in the times of Bentham. It wasn't there during Bentham's time either. Okay? Bentham changed these to pleasure and pain. And he argued it is indelibly in human nature to seek that which is pleasurable or pleasure giving. I'm not going to go into semantics and tell you difference between pleasurable and pleasure giving. If you want, I'll do it tomorrow. Not now. I want to end the class. Is it is indelibly in human nature to seek that which is pleasurable or pleasure giving and avoid that which is painful or pain giving. So this is what he said. All human beings, their behavior is governed by this, the seeking of pleasure and the avoidance of pain. That is what he changed aversion and appetite to, made it more focused, more precise. Now, this has been some people have called this hedonism. This is not hedonism. Hedonism is only applicable to ancient Greece. Just let me write the last. Hedonism is applicable only to ancient Greece. Even in ancient Greece, hedonism was seen as something degenerate, since it is a mindless pursuit of pleasure without morals. Okay, even in ancient Greece, hedonism was not a positive thing. I told you, Hellenistic Greece is the declining Greece. In that period, you had, what's his name? Epicurus, who advocated that there is no soul, there is nothing, so there is no morality, there is no need to live a moral life. You are here, while you're here, enjoy yourself. There is no such thing as morality. There is no such thing as good, bad, nothing. All that is there is maximize your pleasures. Do things which also get categorized as debauch. Okay, so hedonism is not seen as a very positive thing, and it is simply not applicable to the modern period. It's an anachronism to bring hedonism into the modern period. So please don't do that. So tomorrow when we return for the evening class, I will basically continue with pleasure and pain, and while we are summing it up, we'll go into rule and act utilitarianism. I'd like to finish with Bentham tomorrow and with John Stuart Mill day after tomorrow. Today I had to give you an introduction to what is utilitarianism, and because of that it is that Bentham doesn't have any great philosophy. You'll probably need one class to sum up how utilitarianism ended up in the legal systems of different parts of the world, in different countries, including ours. So, thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We'll start with introduction to Hegel, which means I'll be doing a bit of the German Enlightenment. And the German Enlightenment, I'll basically be talking about what should I say? Uh, the German Enlightenment, I'll be basically talking about Immanuel Kant, because he's one of the most important, and maybe a bit of Arthur Schopenhauer. That's more because of a personal whim uh, than because of any great reason. But Immanuel Kant is not a personal whim. If you have to understand a lot of Hegel and perhaps even Marx, um, Immanuel Kant is somebody you cannot ignore. So I won't do it in great detail. Uh, so thank you very much. So see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, sir.
Okay.
Sir,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
sir, we have this. Do we have this paper Panchayat Raj in institutions in India?
Which one?
Panchayat Raj institutions in India. We don't find that syllabus in.
I didn't send it to you. Let Chalamalla send it, because he has chosen that article, that optional. No, that's an optional paper, and I have decided to let the head teach. He behaved very badly with me yesterday. So the offer that I made to him, that I'll help him out with political economy, I've decided I'm not helping him out. Let him sink or swim. It's his problem. And people behave badly, one shouldn't condone it. I mean, he's brought in all kinds of things into it. He said, I'm a Brahmin, and it is people like me who have made the life of people like him always difficult. Leave it be. He has all these things. Let him say those things. So, well, if you want me to teach those, we'll see. First, let me finish off the first years. If I
Sir, I
finish,
have this syllabus from net, sir. In that, we don't find Panchayat Raj institutions in India. But
uh,
sir kept this title and.
no, that is there. It is very much there. So,
Indian political process. We can
eh,
find this Indian political process core paper.
that is different. This is optional. 205A, Panchayat Raj institutions. So ask Venkateshwarlu to give you this thing. And if you people want me to teach you political economy, which is actually a very important paper, I'll teach it in the evenings once we finish off with uh, the first semester stuff. So I can do that. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you very much. So we'll now stick to this.
Sir, the syllabus that is in net is not actual syllabus, or
Net, you mean on the UGC, sorry, on the
Usmania,
Osmania?
not AC. Got it.
No, that is some old syllabus. Okay, don't go by that. Don't go
Okay,
by
sir.
that. I can give you the syllabus, but if something goes wrong, then these fellows will say, I gave you the syllabus. They are,
Okay, sir.
these are all horrible human beings. horrible. You go out of your way to help them, and you stay out of their way and say you go and achieve what you want, they'll still come to you and say horrible things like, you are a Brahmin, you make life difficult for us. That's the reason why I didn't take any of the posts. I didn't take any of the posts that came my way simply for this reason. For this reason, I have declined all the posts because most of the faculty now in my department, I am the only unreserved category. Yasmin will tell you she is unreserved. No, she came through female reservation. And also because Siddiqui was the vice chancellor, so he brought her in. So she is also technically reserved. I am the only unreserved person. And if something happens to her, she can go to a, why am I recording all this? She can go to a women's tribunal. She can go to a minorities, this thing. Where will I go? If anything happens, I'm sunk. I'll sink like a stone. So if you want, I'll put the syllabus. How is he teaching you without putting the syllabus? You didn't ask him to put it?
Stop recording, sir.
Did you